Hello, lady. Oh man, I always forget to close that door. Sorry about that. This is the Raw 13 days away from Night of Champions. What do we got? We got some good work. I want to get some stuff done first. I'm very surprised that the Divas have been doing well. I'm not saying they do great in-ring work. I'm not saying they do in-ring segments. I'm not. But because Total Divas is getting over so well, you can... I know some of my subscribers are not interested in the Divas. I understand that. You think they're like the Kardashians. You think they need to learn to wrestle. They can't do anything for shit. But let's be honest here. The Divas division is very weak. And we have been wanting something to be done with them for quite a while. Yes, it has to be triggered by the reality show Total Divas. I understand that. But like I said before, pit Divas against Total Divas. That might give us some interesting work. And this is what we got right now. Last week, AJ, and I still think AJ is going against the grain. She needs to go back to a face. But still, this is the Divas division's champion putting down the Total Divas because they can't do anything. Addressing what a lot of people say they can't do anyway. I do admit that Natalya is a much better wrestler than any of the other Divas there. She's been well trained. So you can't say every Diva that's being shown there can't do anything. But putting it like this, having a triple threat as a #1 contenders for AJ's title was actually surprising. I don't remember the last time a triple threat has been done. Maybe last year or year before, which is actually quite good. Now, what made it better is that it wasn't the in-ring work. It wasn't that good from any of the Divas. And I love Naomi, but I can't say that her back it up was working that well when she tried to do a rear view on Natalya and how can I put it like this? When she jumped up and tried to whack them in their faces with her ass, she was at least this far away from them. It would have been better if it would have been a little bit closer. But that's just my little pet peeve. Still, AJ beating up on, I think it was Natalya or Brie, ended the match. So there was no clear winner. Which is great because now when we go into Night of Champions, we have a fatal four-way between all four of these women. As much as people want to see better wrestling in the Divas division, more storylines, you gotta go somewhere. You gotta start it with something. And this is the catalyst for that. The Total Divas show has allowed us to get a little bit more out of the Divas division than they had. So I'm quite happy about that. Now I'm going to talk about the tag teams a little bit. I have not really talked much about tag teams because even though we've seen a lot of tag teams, I just felt that even though they're being promoted, the Shield is not being shown. The Shields are the tag champions, and they don't have their own segments. Without Dean Ambrose involved in it, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are not being shown by themselves. They're not. Unless like what's going on with Triple H, and he calls those two out on their own, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are not being spotlighted together as a tag team. Now, I know Roman Reigns has been shown a little bit to be more dominant and more destructive than Seth and Ambrose, but still, we don't see anything from the tag champions. But I can say with primetime players, we are seeing something. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is this. With Darren Young coming out of the closet, and I have no problem with it. I've stated already in my video of the announcement from Darren Young. Sorry, I'm a little congested. But the problem here is this. What made them entertaining with AEW last year before he was kicked out, they were allowed to have backstage segments. They were allowed to do in-ring segments. They were allowed to just be damn funny. Titus O'Neil is one of the funniest guys I've seen in a while. But when was the last time you saw him act funny? I think last year when he dressed up as his uncle. That was some funny shit there. But I haven't seen that from Titus O'Neil. Maybe on Superstars. Maybe on Saturday Morning Slam. Maybe on Wednesday Night Main Event. But you guys tell me below because I do not watch SmackDown right now. I have not seen anything entertaining from these guys like they did last year. They need that to really get over. Now the match between them and Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater, and has anyone seen Drew McIntyre wrestle anymore? I don't think he's wrestling. I think Ginger and Heath are the only ones that have to wrestle. Drew is just in the back, and that's sad. But it was Titus O'Neil who powerbombed Ginger and won. But the question here is this. If they do not allow them to show more of their charisma, this is going to be a generic tag team, which is sad. They deserve to have it more better than that. Now, another thing that needs to be more well promoted is Fandango versus The Miz. I have not seen it. Like I said before, you guys who've seen SmackDown, tell me below. Have you seen Fandango and The Miz talk in backstages, in ring? I'm not talking about a Miz TV segment. I don't want a Miz TV segment. I'm hoping there wasn't one. But the central point is this. As a face, The Miz isn't that great. He's very generic. He's boring to a point. He's a way more entertaining heel. But like I said a long time ago with The Miz, it's not the point if he can do a good face. The point is at that time they had no faces at all. And they had no choice but to turn him face. Because you only had maybe Kofi Kingston as a mid-card face at that time, last year. We had to do something. So they had no choice but to turn him face. But he really needs to be flipped back to heel, because as a heel, he has been the most entertaining heel we had maybe in about 4 or 5 years. I'd say about 4 years. I like him more as a heel. But I knew they were going to turn him face because they didn't have an option. With this feud, it really feels like it's going against the grain with The Miz. But if you're going to stick with it, you got to go all the way with it. So they need time to talk, and I haven't seen it yet. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Matadors, or El Matador. I don't speak Spanish, but that's the best I can do for Spanish. Primo Epico as Matadors. And the way they've been showing the vignettes with, oh man, the bulls basically kicking the ass of the Matadors, including one bull sticking his horn up the guy's ass almost. Oh, that's ugly, man. I've seen a little bit of that type of bullfighting on television. It's pretty horrible to see the bull take the spike up someone's ass. It's ugly, but it does happen. Seeing Primo Epico repackaged as the El Matadores is good. I know I haven't spoken about them for a couple of weeks, but I wanted to see how many vignettes they were going to do with this. How far they're going to push these guys. Because Primo Epico have been around for a couple of years. They really didn't get very far. Even though they got the tag titles, they weren't very interesting. But with this gimmick, they could get over. It's not uncommon for the WWE to repackage tag teams in a different way. So maybe we might get something good here. I don't know, but let's see. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the Wyatt promo. Well, yeah, the Wyatt promo about Kane. I felt it was so damn good. I've said this already in my last video. You know that we have seen many dark guys over the years. But have you seen any dark guys that have a possible staying power and the most interest other than The Undertaker and Kane? Now, we've had the Boogeyman, we had a couple of other guys, but nothing really that darkish and sinister. The Wyatts could be it. Seeing Luke and Eric, I believe his name in the back is Eric and Luke. Can't remember the last name, so please don't get mad with me. But seeing how they did that promo was so good. I still believe that there will be a couple more fights between them and Kane, but eventually Kane will join them. It's the wisest thing to do. Let a veteran join a group that is supposedly dark. You need a veteran there. You're not going to get The Undertaker, so you should have Kane there. And that's what I'm hoping for. Now, this moves me under someone who's saying he's very dark and he's going to do something very violent over at Night of Champions. That's CM Punk. The 1 hour segment of CM Punk was good. It was good, but I did feel one thing though. Brock Lesnar was not mentioned in this at all. Now, maybe they're saving that for Survivor Series, which would be a wise thing to do. But how far are they going to go with this? What are they going to do with Paul Heyman? I don't know. But it will be very interesting to see how far they're going to go with Paul Heyman. Because Paulie has done some really good acting here. What he did early in the night with Brad Maddox and God himself, Triple H, was not bad. Last week he did very good with the kendo stick. So this is going to be a question of how far they're going to go with this. I'm hoping to go all the way. If they're going to be very violent on a pay-per-view, let them be violent on a pay-per-view. People are paying for it. If there's going to be blood, there must be blood in this pay-per-view. There must be gore on this pay-per-view to make it really authentic and real. Because the storyline's been very real. I've been enjoying it. So my next thoughts is going to be about Damien Sandow and RVD. To be honest, I'm not really interested in the world title still. And especially what happened with Cody, I'll explain that later. But the match was a simple match. RVD comes out. RVD basically, not RVD, ADR, I'm getting them mixed up. Too many abbreviations. ADR comes out to try and mess with RVD. Didn't work. RVD still won. I felt that Damien didn't need a job here. I know that Damien is the only credible threat they have in SmackDown right now that could really be doing something dangerous with the world champion. But it kind of really felt like Damien's being belittled so RVD to get over. There couldn't be someone else they could have done this with. Right now, Wade Barrett is basically screwed all the time, so maybe he could have done this. But I understand the reason they had to do it, because they need to make RVD a more credible threat. I'm still not interested in this world championship, but it's something different to take with a grain of salt. So I'm moving on to the Dolph Ziggler match. Somewhat of a match. Dolph Ziggler is basically, looks like to me, being downgraded to the U.S. Championship against Dean Ambrose. How do I feel about that? I feel that the WWE still doesn't believe he is ready to go into the world title scene. So they tried it with Biggie Langston. They didn't get a huge response from him. So they're going to try it with Dean Ambrose and put the title on him as a face. Now, essentially, he is different now because he went after the U.S. Championship as a face. No, not as a face, I'm sorry. As a heel. And I believe he got the Intercontinental. I could be wrong. I don't think he won the Intercontinental, but I believe he did. As a heel as well. So this will be different, even though it is putting Dolph into a new belt that he's already been in. I know it sounds a little strange. This is a new belt for Dolph because of his character change. The best option I can say is if he wins it and he does get over, maybe they'll raise him up to the IC Championship and then he can go into the world. They're giving him a test, going from near the world champion, then drop really down to Biggie Langston, then in a sense go up to the US title, and then if he wins it and he looks good, then they can scale him back up again. They just want to see if he can handle it. I'm not a big Dolph fan, but I'm going in that perspective. Now, the one person I believe that gave the most greatest performance was Cody Rhodes. After what happened in the beginning of the night, Cody Rhodes talks to God and Orton and pisses them both off. So now he has to challenge Randy Orton in a match. Not for the title, but in a match. If he wins the match, he gets to stay and has some momentum in trying to get the WWE Championship. If he loses, he's gone. I was actually surprised they did this. It was very interesting. Now, Cody did lose that match. And Triple H came out and said, you know what, you're fired. I believe he did his best work right after that match. Talking about how his dad was treated, how his brother was treated, and how he was treated. How his dad was on fire in Florida. And then when he came to WWE, they threw him in pink polka dots and made him dance. And the way that he sounded when he talked about his brother, saying, my brother, the second generation, who is a stud, the natural, who I loved. They had to put him in a gold suit. And he's never been the same since. I kind of felt that he was showing a sense of loss, which is actually quite good. I can see Cody Rhodes has potential to be a good main eventer. He does. And this may shoot him into that. I'm hoping it will. I honestly believe that one day he will go into the Breakfast Club. He's not in there yet. We already got 2 inductors already who are at lower level. And that is Punk and that is Daniel Bryan, who I'll get to in a minute. But I'm telling you right now, this is great for his character. He could come back when someone could rehire him and he will dominate. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, the last thing I forgot to say about Dolph and his match with Ryback. Ryback sucks. Unless Triple H calls him in to really work with the Shield, he's totally a waste of time. So that's my thoughts on that. Let's see. I already talked about that. I might as well get this over with. The beginning of the show with Triple H and Orton was very good. Not because Orton could talk. It was God himself who talked. And Orton just did some short talks after that. Bryan did very, very well. He just made that segment gold. He did. And throughout the night, we had some periodic talks with the Big Show and Booker T, which were very good. When it comes to the Big Show, when it came to him talking with Stephanie, and some of that was a shoot, some of that was a work, talking about how things are not working very well in his life, that he's made some bad investments. I still believe that she should have never said, when I was 12 years old, you were there. Big Show's not much older than her or me. Stephanie's in her maybe early 40s, I believe. Late 30s, early 40s. Like I am. Big Show is a little younger than, I think a little older than me or a little younger. Maybe about a year or 2 older or younger. So saying that made me think of Andre the Giant. And I think she should never use that. That line just didn't make any sense in that perspective. But her really pulling on Big Show's heartstrings about his family made that segment and made the match. The match between Daniel Bryan and Big Show. Big Show gets a bad rap for not being a very good actor. Knucklehead, I understand not many people like Knucklehead, some people do. But Big Show, when he's given a good storyline, can do some good work. He made that in SmackDown last week, from what I understand, and he made this in Raw this week. We got some good work from Big Show. I was very impressed in how he acted. It made me feel very good to see that. Because now, with that, people are behind the Big Show. Who knows what they're going to do with him? Maybe they have something set up for him along the lines of Royal Rumble. Maybe he may win the Royal Rumble. You never know. Anything is possible. Maybe something over in Survivor Series. I don't know. But they're building up the it's surprising to see that not only they're building up a Daniel Bryan, they're also rebuilding a Big Show to do something big. In the end, the match was stopped because Big Show didn't want to do it. But in the full ending of the show, Big Show had to knock out Daniel Bryan. This was a very good show. My rating, a B. I have to give it a B because the Divas are being promoted, even if you don't like it. Daniel Bryan's being very well promoted. You got Cody Rhodes, who's being well promoted. You got, oh man, there's so many people here that's being promoted. Primetime players are still given a track to winning the tag championship. I still believe they need more time to talk. You really got a lot of work. CM Punk's in-ring segment was very good leading into the Night of Champions. Like I said, he wants a fight. He doesn't want bullshit. This is very good, and it's all orchestrated by the Breakfast Club of Triple H. And I say this right now, ladies and gentlemen, Triple H is the head of the Breakfast Club. Daniel Bryan and CM Punk are entry levels. Daniel Bryan is being brought up first before CM Punk, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I hope you enjoyed this Zane's View. Subscribe and comment to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. And I said before, and I'll say it again, I hope people go into the Supper Club or the Leg Daddy. If you guys who are way over already, who got great numbers and subscribers, don't even talk to him, dudes, you don't want to be really good. This is how you get over in the business of wrestling. And this is how you need to get over in the YWC. I myself am not good enough for that right now. Not there yet. I'm still an amateur. But even as an amateur, I can see it. So I'm hoping people will join the supper club and the Slave Daddy will let you in. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.